switch? On the one switches.
All right, we'll make it work.
All right.
It's good.
Let me see. There we go.
All right, thanks.
All right, before we start, I do want to take a minute just to say to all the men and women that have served in our armed forces, happy Veterans Day. Particular thank you to Strat Tolson in Pawhuska, Oklahoma, World War II and Korean War vet. Only one in Pawhuska that's a proud owner of a Virginia Tech flag. He's also my grandfather. 97 years young, still married to my grandmother, living in Pawhuska, and living and dying with the Hokies every single day, but also many years ago was ready to make the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So thank you to all the veterans out there. That being said, we have a huge challenge this week, moving to Georgia Tech. Coach Collins has his guys playing extremely hard. You can look at the Virginia film, there's great evidence of that. A really close ball game that they had a couple opportunities to pull out. They've got skilled players, as Georgia Tech has always had, guys that can run as they make the transition from the triple option. James Graham playing at quarterback is continuing, in my opinion, to get more comfortable every single week with what they're asking him to do. He's a former teammate of Lasita Smith. We're familiar with James. We had him in camp and loved him coming out of high school, so we know what he can do. He can really run and is getting much better in the passing game. Had a big long touchdown pass early in the game against Virginia. They've had some close losses. I think Coach Collins is doing a fantastic job. Those guys are really playing hard in all three phases. We are 0-3 in the last 3 years against Georgia Tech. They came into our stadium and beat the mess out of us last year. So we've got to have a great week of preparation as we move forward for our next challenge.
You touched on Graham. I know he was a guy that you guys liked an awful lot. Did you guys didn't necessarily look at him as a quarterback though, right? Where did you kind of
Yeah, that was kind of our projection, was a skilled player, either a wide receiver or defensive back.
What was so appealing about him? Obviously athleticism, the speed and all that. I didn't know there were some certain elements about him that stood out though above anybody else.
Well, he was competitive. I mean, you love those guys that play quarterback in high school. And he may have gone on to be a quarterback. Obviously, he is now, having success. But he played for a good program. Was a good, tough, talented player coming through the high school ranks.
You hired Jerry Kill after the Furman game. And since then, you made incremental improvements rushing the ball after that, and in the last 4 games really made a big leap. I guess 220 plus in 3 of the last 4 games. It's not lost on me that comes along with Hendon switching, moving quarterback spot, but I guess Brian and Luke and Doug have played even bigger roles since then. But Jerry probably doesn't have some magic pill that made the running game better, but I remember one of the first things you said you wanted him to look at was the running game in particular. And it's not like you have any new personnel in the backfield since then, really. But is there something that he's done that you can put your finger on schematically that you can share with us that he's helped out?
Well, I would say there have been several factors that you alluded to. I mean, we have 2 true freshmen starting on the offensive line that have now played in almost a full season. That's certainly helped. And it's not like the other guys that were playing were old seasoned veterans either. So we're gaining some experience. Certainly, we made a change at quarterback. We haven't done anything really new schematically. I do believe our execution levels increased, our techniques got better. You can look at a bunch of different factors for that. Some of it's experience, but it's hard for me to. I can't overstate, or I shouldn't understate the effect that Coach Kill is having on our program across the board, whether it be the running game or operations or just anything that we've got going on. He's such a valuable resource for us in really all areas. and you know, continuing to help force the offensive staff to ask questions and to make sure to refine and make sure what we're teaching and how we're teaching it has been thoroughly vetted, has been one of the many things that he's done for us in his short time here.
Paul?
Justin, how much different is preparation this week knowing that you don't have to go against the triple option?
Well, it's certainly different. I mean, knowing that it's not on your schedule. I mean, I guess a little bit with the Furman game, but you know, they have a different identity that they're now recruiting to and developing. You know, Bud could probably answer that question better, and that doesn't mean that they can't go run the ball up and down the field. I mean, they know how, those O linemen know how to run block, and they've been recruiting to you know, they've got a quarterback that runs a 4.4. I mean, they've been recruiting to that, so they certainly can run the ball. It just looks a little bit different.
Bud and a couple players after the game referred to the last couple games as after Duke. Kind of an obvious line in the sand of the season. You kind of mentioned it before with small incremental stuff that happened there. Were there big changes you felt like after that game, or was it just sort of you know, continuing to plug away and maybe an attitude change that some guys had around that?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I know it was different for me. Just being 100% candid. You know, the meeting we had. I probably told you guys, you're probably getting tired of me saying it, but you know, I just put it up there and I told them this is my fault. We are not a tough football team right now. We're not mentally tough. We're not emotionally tough, and we didn't play physically tough. And here's examples of it on the film. And this is not your fault. It's my fault. And I said, and it's changing right now. Like I've let you down, and that's on me. And I encourage everybody to look at the mirror, look at themselves in the mirror when things don't go well. And I'm doing it right now, and I'm telling you, we're changing this. We're going back. I'm going back to being myself. I'm not worried about anything else. And if you want to go be a part of it, then I'll see you on the practice field. And the guys have done a great job with it. I don't know how they feel individually. I just, you know, that was my responsibility, and I just told them like it was, and told them we're never going back to that. Doesn't mean we're going to win every game. Just we're not putting that on the field anymore.
Did you feel like you had gotten away from something on the practice
Yeah, I
field that
mean,
you wanted to
well,
get back?
I know I had. Absolutely. Absolutely.